The Ultimate Frisbee Association is brought to you by Be Ultimate, enabling and inspiring athletes, trainers, coaches, and teams to be better than ever with performance-based apparel. Visit BeUltimate.com for official UFA threads. And by Power Up Premium Trail Mix, thoughtfully sourced, wholesome ingredients to confidently fuel every body. Get $2 off your purchase today.
And a 25-15 rout tonight as Colorado crushes the wind chill.
I think it was a wake-up call for us. It was a learning opportunity, and obviously we responded in a big way.
Biles there, but Manoka skies him and shows it off.
I'm proud of how we came out the gate, starting with energy and finishing it through the whole game.
Maddie Jackson leaping into the end zone. Colorado is cruising right now.
This is real competition from out of state, real competition from out of division.
For the second time in as many seasons, it's an interdivisional showdown between the Colorado Summit and the Minnesota Wind Chill. And tonight, our Power Up pregame show and the evening at Seafoam Stadium will occur amidst wet and windy conditions. The Wind Chill home for the second time this year. They're still looking for their first home win, but they're 4-1 atop the Central Division. And this Colorado Summit team, a shocking 2-4 after a close loss last night in Madison. Good evening, everybody. Ian Toner and Evan Lepler along with you. Welcome to the land of 10,000 lakes and 10,000 excuses perhaps for Colorado for all the things that have gone wrong so far this season. But put the excuses aside, this is an opportunity tonight. What do they got to do?
This team has to find some semblance of offensive consistency, and they're going to have to do it in a really tough spot, a challenging stadium, some really difficult conditions. They don't have their strongest roster that they're going to have this season or have had at any point this season. Find a way to make the offensive side of the ball simple, and they can have success, but that's not easy to do in these conditions or against this opponent.
Yeah, against the opponent, the Minnesota Wind Chill is what I was going to say, and you brought it right up perfectly, because this is a Wind Chill team that, especially at home, prides itself on its defense. As you see the weather conditions, umbrellas are going to be a popular item here today. It's cool, it's breezy. We may have some downpours. We may have a lightning delay at some point. We cross our fingers that that doesn't happen. But Minnesota, I think, is excited about these conditions tonight.
This is where they practice. This is where they breed their identity for the course of the season. This is the kind of stuff that they live for. They want those elemental factors to be their eighth defender. And I think this is a group that is ready to adapt to these conditions. It's not something they haven't seen before in this setting. They have all kinds of different defensive looks, and they're excited to get this opportunity underway.
Before we go further talking about the Summit and Wind Chill, we want to take you around the Ultimate Frisbee Association. A 12-game Week 8 began last night with 3 games. Let's start with what's going on in the East Division right now. New York is currently down at the half against the Philadelphia Phoenix. It's a subpar Empire roster, and they're already sitting behind Boston and D.C. in a kind of upside-down East from what many expected coming into the year.
Look, I think we all expected New York to take a little bit of a step back in the departures of Babbitt and Katz and others, but I'm not sure I expected them to be sitting here at 4-3 at this point in the season. This is a group that's kind of like Colorado, struggled with offensive consistency, struggled with roster consistency, struggled with availability, and that's not to take anything away from the potential and the talent that exists on this year's roster, but they just haven't put it together, and Boston has seized almost every opportunity in front of it, and DC has simply taken care of business.
In the South Division, the only undefeated team in the league is currently up right now. They jumped in front of the Houston Havoc 6-1. Of course, I'm talking about the Carolina Flyers. The last remaining undefeated team in the league, are they the best team in the league right now in your eyes?
I think I support that case. I was going to say that the Salt Lake Shred were that team, and we'll get to the West Division a little later, but they showed some struggle and mortality against Colorado last week, and I think this Carolina team has so much consistency across its offense, across its defense, ability to interchange parts. Anders Jungst is having an MVP level season. I think there are so many things going well and so many things performing and showing up consistently for Carolina that I think they are the team to beat in the league right now.
And shifting to the Central and West divisions, we got Minnesota and Colorado tonight. Minnesota currently in first place, feeling good. If the season started, or if the playoffs started right now, of course, Colorado would be out of the playoffs. And frankly, even with a win tonight, they're going to have a lot of work to do because Seattle and Oakland are playing well. Obviously, the shredder at the top.
It's an uphill battle for Colorado from here. Oakland, I think we saw that youth movement and that young core start to bear fruit last season, coming up just short with that late regular season surge. I also think that Colorado's youth movement is going to have to bear a lot of responsibility in the wake of this roster inconsistency, in the wake of perhaps some underperformance from some veteran presence. Seattle is no slouch. They're a team that's sitting in the driver's seat in the West Division. This is a wild division. I love what we're seeing. I love how the identities of these programs are changing. It's making this season more chaotic and exciting for every single person to follow.
There's a version tonight where the Colorado Summit bounces back from last night and slingshots toward a stretch run that could transform their possibilities. But right now, this feels like a must-win game for the Minnesota Wind Chill to potentially make the playoffs. We are here on the Power Up pregame show. Get yourself some Power Up Premium Trail Mix. They secure these containers very, very well. So you might need some scissors to open it. You want to try to open up this one, Ian?
You want to give me this one, not the one that we've already opened.
Yeah, well, this one is frankly, you need like a jackknife to get this open. You can buy this stuff at Costco, though.
I'll give it a go here.
The conditions are going to be a factor tonight. Colorado and Minnesota are coming up the top of the hour. Stay with us.
Hello, Premium Trail Mix. Power Up is a snack that is uncomplicated and uncompromising. Every ingredient is thoughtfully sourced and carefully crafted for a mix that elevates your snacking experience. There's no better way to power up your day.
All right, the tick to the opening pull continues here from Seafoam Stadium. Second game in as many days for the Colorado Summit. They're trying to duplicate what transpired last weekend, where they lost on Friday night at Oakland, and then theoretically the more difficult game on day 2 of the doubleheader. They don't want to fall behind 9-4 like they did at Salt Lake, but this is a Colorado team that is missing some key players. There's no doubt about it. But Alex Atkins has the potential to be a star. The question is, how much responsibility can they afford to put on the shoulders of number 0?
Alex Atkins has been to the mountaintop of elation and to the canyon depths of devastation multiple times in the last few weeks here with the Colorado Summit. We take a look at his performance in Salt Lake. We take a look at his performance in other matchups this season. I was getting the sense, talking to the coaches in our pre-production meetings, that perhaps his role might shift. Perhaps he might play more exclusively D-line. Perhaps they might dial back his offensive points. But you saw his performance last night against Minnesota. He had more points played than I believe any other Colorado Summit player. They had no hesitation deploying him on both sides of the disc, especially in the second half. And you can't deny the energy and the passion that he brings as we take a look back at his emphatic game-sealing interception, hearkening back to Ben Yacht's theatrics in Salt Lake last summer.
What do you think when you saw Kin celebrate this way last week?
That's quintessential Atkins. That is the kind of energy and passion and investment and excitement that he brings to his team. And, you know, for all of that passion, there's a double-edged sword to that, right? When it's not going well, can the body language have influence on the rest of the team? Can he maintain that composure? There's a lot of responsibility that he bears. It's not an easy spot to be in, whether he likes it or not. I think he wants these opportunities. He wants to prove that he's among the elite and deserves to be getting all those points and all those touches. And he's certainly turned in performances that merit that. He just has to find a way to regulate that emotion, that intensity, and channel it into positive possession-saving ultimate for Colorado.
Both these teams are going to rely substantially on some really young players today. For Minnesota, they added Will Brandt, Paul Krennick, Anthony Gurley to the lineup last week for the first time, and there's a Mama Bird trio that's pretty valuable for the Summit as well.
Yeah, Atkin Arnstein has been a player who's been making plays with his legs in just a few appearances so far for Colorado. He's one of those speedsters that is going to need to generate separation downfield to give this offense a chance. Nandamid Fink, he's been really possession-oriented, and that's something that this offense had been missing in the earlier games when maybe Jonathan Nethercutt wasn't there and they needed another possession-oriented handler. Aylin Learned appearing in just his second matchup of 2024 so far. We saw at the college level what he's capable of. He's battled injury so far over the course of his professional career, and now he's healthy. If there's someone who can value the disc, it's him, and this is a time when this group needs him to do that.
What do you think's going through these players' mind as they get ready to play a really wet game coming up here shortly?
You know, embrace the slop, embrace the chaos, embrace anything that's thrown at you. We saw so many of the Minnesota players deciding to warm up with no shirt on or with tank tops on. It just kind of reminded me of, NFL offensive linemen in the super cold or other adverse conditions just saying, bring it on. I'm just going to get used to it and embrace it from the moment I step out on the field for warm-ups.
Yeah, Matt Rader did not have a shirt on during warm-ups out on the field. Brandon Mattis showing the muscles in his arms as he gets ready to tie Kevin Pettit-Scantling for 10th on the all-time UFA games played list. Ben Feldman, the coach and general manager of this Minnesota team, will celebrate his birthday here tomorrow. So an early happy birthday to Ben and a happy birthday to my mom, who celebrates her birthday today with my family back in North Carolina. Amidst the slop, we'll play Frisbee. Summit, wind chill. Coming up next.
Oh, he's getting the crowd going. Are you kidding me? You are kidding me! Holy smokes! Was there any doubt? Was there any doubt? This is going to be the game. Joel Clutton battling for position. He tips it to the end zone where it's caught by Elijah Jaime at the buzzer to tie the game. Incredible awareness from Clutton, and we've got overtime tonight.
Throw like a pro with a new Pro Ultimate Frisbee. Created with input from the sport's premier passers, the Pro Frisbee is specially designed to fly through the wind and maintain its edge. Experience the official Frisbee of the UFA and get yours at shopufa.com today.
On the grand stage to keep possession alive. Huge bid, gets the time.
Great opportunity for the Germans, and they break with ease.
Throw it the full 80 yards to the field? Are you kidding me? And an incredible catch. You are kidding me. Oh my gosh. One of the plays of the year.
Tonight's UFA Super Series matchup brings together two teams who both badly want and need a win. The Colorado Summit arrived to Minnesota with a fascinating collection of talent and a determination to find their best form. And the Minnesota Wind Chill have arguably their strongest team ever, with a motivation to prove they belong amongst the league's elite contenders. But only one of these two ambitious teams will experience victory tonight, It's the Colorado Summit and the Minnesota Wind Chill. Next. Ultimate Frisbee Association Super Series tonight amidst, well, pretty steady rain here in the Twin Cities. St. Paul, Minnesota, Seafoam Stadium is our site for the first place 4-1 Minnesota Wind Chill and the shockingly 2-4 Colorado Summit that currently sits out of the playoff picture in the West Division. Most had Salt Lake at the top. Seattle and Oakland have been pleasant surprises. Colorado enters the night tied for fourth place, 2-4. Top three make the playoffs. Can't afford to fall 3 games back. Welcome to our broadcast booth where we are cozy and dry. Thanks so much for joining us, Evan Lepler with Ian Toner. This Colorado Summit team is full of questions. They only had 3 games in like the first 40-something days of the season, and now they are playing for their 4th time in the last 9 days, and they'll begin this game on defense. Ian, this is going to be a messy one tonight, and there's a real sense of urgency for the Summit. And we'll see how these two teams battle these conditions over the course of the evening.
Yeah, Evan, Colorado drew a really difficult schedule to start the season. Salt Lake at home for just its second matchup of 2024. They also faced off against Atlanta.
Josh Klein, a little bit too far in front of Leo Savel Fernandez, and it's an opening break chance here for the Summit.
So this is going to be an early indication of the coaching philosophy in these conditions. Do these coaches treat this as like a field position game? You know, if you get in a tough situation, are they coaching or encouraging their team to punt the ball and make the opposing team just work it as much as they can in these conditions? Or are they going to value possession? And right now it looks like this Colorado D-line is being trusted to work the disc up the field.
Now, the other early things of note, Alex Atkins started on the D-line yesterday, but he is not out there on the first D point. Sam Goldstein is, so presumably Atkins going to at least begin the game playing offense tonight.
And
Goldstein with an errant throw, looking for Semrin near the sideline. Saeed's a guy who's been mostly playing O-line this year as well, so it's kind of a figure-it-out type weekend for this Summit team as Klein catches it in power position, sending it to Jordan Taylor in the end zone. He shields the defender beautifully with a body and brings in the game's opening score. Minute 45 in.
that's nice offense there from Minnesota after getting the ball back. More a gift than anything else as Goldstein's going to swing, hit the turf. We get a look at the first turnover, and then Goldstein thought he was connecting with Semrin, but just not on the same page. And right here, that's just expert body positioning from Taylor. Snushka, a big body, knows he can jump, but Taylor doesn't even let it become a 50-50 contest. He just keeps him on his back hip.
Keys to the game for the Wind Chill, what you focused on tonight?
Look, you look back at the film from Minnesota's home loss against Pittsburgh. They had a lot of short field turnovers inside their own brick mark. Especially in these conditions, you can't give the opponent a short field. Also, amplify the pressure. This Colorado team is reeling right now. It's got a smorgasbord of lines that don't have chemistry. If you can do everything you can with your sideline energy, with your physical presence, with the help of your crowd to make this team feel uncomfortable, it's just going to make it that much tougher for this kind of hodgepodge lineup to get any kind of consistency or level of efficacy.
Some fun matchups on this opening point. Paul Krennic starts out on Alex Atkins, Dylan DeClerc on Noah Kuhlman.
How about David Yu playing offense? Our colleagues Adam Ruffner and Colin Camp pointed out on the broadcast from Madison last night, Tim Kafalis and Mikey Lund just kind of threw the lines into a blender at halftime and said, hey, screw everything we've been practicing with, forget the assignments that we had sent out. We're just going to figure out who's got the legs, the heart, and the energy and ride that wave for the line assignments for the rest of the second half.
Jay Fruit also starting this game on offense. It was not exactly a happy homecoming for former Madison Radicals, Jay Frude and Logan Pruce, former University of Wisconsin at Madison alum David Yu. Radicals getting the impressive victory. Madison sitting at 5-2 in second place in the Central as play begins this evening. Beaches, errant push pass near the goal line as the Summit offense stalled.
I mean, how about that front of the stack and handler space defense from everyone involved there? Mattis, Tristan Vander Mortel, and others. Just recognizing the patterns, shutting down those skinny insides at the front of the stack. Really great work.
Noah Kuhlman earns possession back for Colorado. The type of speed and footsteps that Dylan DeClercq doesn't usually have to deal with when he's going on an upline cut. Benny Mortel marks Atkins now.
And we talked about it in the pregame. Talking to the coaches in the lead up to this weekend road trip, you got the sense that, hey, maybe Atkins was going to play more defense primarily going forward. Maybe he wouldn't play any or much offense. And last night against Madison, he plays 30 points and has a pretty solid split between O and D.
Second break chance coming up here for for Minnesota. I mean, there's no doubt the plan for the Summit coming into this weekend was to play Atkins on D. They switched him at halftime of the Salt Lake game. They didn't get any breaks early in that game. They got a bunch of breaks late. Atkins was crucial in that process to the come-from-behind win over the Shred. A lengthy point will be paused by a Minnesota timeout. 3.25 minutes long. This point has run already.
I mean, you can't question Atkins' heart and effort. There's no doubt that he's giving everything he's got. And certainly on an O point, he doesn't want to be in a situation where he's having to go step for step, trying to shut someone down in the dump space, but that's what's happening in these conditions.
Colorado initially got it down into the red zone, couldn't convert, and then Kuhlman smacked down the up line. Krennic, in just his second game of the season, throwing before he stood up. It feels like young Paul Krennic could be a transformative type player. He's just 21. He'll turn 22 later this week. You know, got all kinds of plaudits, well-deserved for his college season with Minnesota Grey Duck, and feels like he's ready to take the step to the next level. You could say the same thing, quite frankly, about the Division III national champ, the Donovan winner out of St. Olaf, Will Brandt, who has anchored this Minnesota O-line well, and that did not work out well as Brian Vinoka had nowhere to go. Bobble and a drop. That's the second turn of the first 5 minutes for Sam Goldstein. Brandt breaks the mark, hits Klain. I think you were right on in the pregame show when you said which team can embrace the slop better. And so far it's Minnesota, as Rader ruled inbounds. He beats Kai Marshall for the score, and the Winchell lead 2-0.
Trying to get a sense of what Rader and Marshall are talking about there. Wondering if perhaps Marshall wanted a pick call, but there was so much changing in that transition situation. Colorado gets a gift coming out of the timeout and then gives a gift of a turnover right back. And yeah, I think Marshall was maybe hoping for a pick call, saying that he had to go through Chance Cochran, but I can see Marshall's perspective. I can also see Rader's perspective of, hey, I got dragged out toward the sideline. You didn't actually have to run through Cochran to make a play on that disc. It's a tough situation for everybody there.
Only loss so far this year for Minnesota. I think it's a good no call. Understand why Marshall's frustrated, but
yep.
First home game for Minnesota was the 1-point loss to Pittsburgh. A loss, by the way, that's looking a little bit more explainable with what Pittsburgh has done recently.
Yeah, great win against Chicago last night.
Yeah, coming from behind after they trailed 5-2 following the end of the first quarter. Chicago only scored 7 goals in the last 3 quarters of that game.
I really love the defensive play call here from Minnesota. I mean, these are really challenging conditions. All you want to do is gum up and clog up the throwing lanes.
Atkins throwing into double coverage, and it's picked off. Matthew Johnson.
He dropped the disc after he got back up to his feet. That was a turnover there.
Well, he giveth and he taketh.
Or taketh and giveth,
Yeah.
however you want to word it.
It was interesting because I thought they were going to rule that he lost it landing on the ground, and thus it would still be Minnesota's disc, but they ruled he had possession clearly and then dropped it. We'll take a look at exactly what happened, but the gift for Colorado, that was frankly on the ropes a little bit here early on the second day of a back-to-back. Atkins, 67 completions last night, 7 assists in that game as UFA high. Jay Frood playing on the O-line tonight at the start for the first time this season, and he's put up some big numbers over the course of his career, and frankly, they need the superstar version of Jay Frood to reemerge tonight in various ways if they're going to win this game on the road.
There's a solid argument for that, and you see his kind of calm presence having an impact on that point. As we get another look.
Yeah, I don't like that call. I think he's still surviving the ground there. I don't know what you think, but
I'd love to get one more look at it. As we get a look at Frood finding Beaches in the end zone there.
The rule is if you're a defender and you intercept it, and then you drop it while you're landing, it's still your team's disc. I'd say that's a block.
Yeah.
It should have been Minnesota's disc.
Yeah. Now, the benefit of that replay, I agree with you.
Will Brandt and Callahan country. Over to Klain. Junky defensive look from the summit. The wind is not crazy fierce, but Minnesota is going into the breeze right now. Sabel Fernandez swings for Klain. Cousins over to Klain, to Brandt. Vinoka is very deep downfield. Colin Berry's deep as well. The other 5 Winchell attacking players very close to the disc.
Yeah, you notice how Colorado started the point with some handler sags in the lane. Now they've really transitioned into their matchup assignment defense.
Now here's Vinoka coming under. Feeds it for Berry. A lanky lefty resets for Brandt. Floating it to this space, and Josh Klain is there. Great touch from Will Brandt. The type of throw that when it leaves his hand, you're like, uh-oh. But he saw the space, it was free, and Klain had all day to run to it.
I mean, that's so difficult to do in the conditions with this level of moisture and wind. And you notice there was a backside defender who had the opportunity to peel off the stack, but there was just the precise amount of touch from Brandt, who's really growing as an expert level thrower, to make that hold possible.
Aylin Learned was the defender that was closest to it. Aylin made his UFA debut last night in Madison. He did not play past the midway point of the third quarter, but clearly good to go tonight. And running around there on D. It's an excellent pull from the wind chill.
We talked about this in the Colorado home game against Atlanta. I think this Colorado O-line could do a better job supporting its teammates on fielding the pull. I understand you might be sacrificing one initial cutting threat off the opening sequence of the point, but the challenge that you're left with, if you have to start towards the back of the end zone, it's just such a difficult spot to be in that it feels more important than ever.
A vintage-looking Jay Frood point thus far to the end zone. Frood misjudged it, but his teammate Denny Beaches was there to clean it up. Frood and Madison, old Central Division rivals, exchange pleasantries, and Beaches on the spot to bring the Summit within one.
I'd expect nothing less from Denny Beaches, and I've probably said this once or twice on other broadcasts before. Young players, please take note of the hustle play of the auxiliary players on this point. Multiple defenders swarmed the disc. Denny Beaches wasn't even close to being the intended receiver, but he took off from another position in the reforming stack and knew, hey, if I get there in the area, maybe I'll have a chance to make a play on a deflection or clean up some trash. And that's 100% what happened on that sequence.
Beaches has both Summit scores. First assist for Atkins. Not to the intended target, but that doesn't go on the stats. And while Frood did not make the play at the end of the point, worth mentioning he was going every other for about half the field.
Oh, yeah. So dynamic. Looking like his old Dallas Roughnecks teammate Dalton Smith directing traffic out there.
Klain slices through the gap. Taylor bluffs the big back end. He had Barry in the deep space. Matt Rader coming underneath. Longtime Seattle star, played a season with Chicago. Savell Fernandez.
Hard to believe it's been 5 years since we saw him turn in a 10-score performance right here on this field.
That was 2019, you're right. Half decade ago. Vinoka beats his man up the line, 4-2, chill. Shout out to this crowd showing up in these conditions. Rowdy atmosphere right now at Seafoam.
Yeah, it's just getting louder as the conditions are improving. It's getting a little drier relative to some of the downpours we saw in the pregame, but I mean, just look at what this kid is doing so far. No turns, 3 assists, breaking. I mean, that's 6'5" Kai Marshall. That is not an easy mark to step around and break and challenge in adverse conditions. I know you got a great receiver like Vinoka on the other end of that, but it takes some real length and confidence and precision to be able to execute a throw like that.
All 3 of his assists, the flick, and 2 of the 3 from that same spot, that around flick.
Yep,
with the backhand mark.
It's a great point. That throw is dialed right now in these conditions.
Brand turned 22 in March, made his UFA debut.
How is Colorado going to handle this trap sideline situation in the moisture?
Brand made his UFA debut back in 21. He was still a teenager right out of the pandemic. Atkins ripping it long. Nanda Min Fink runs down the floater. He's not in the end zone though. Double teams coming. Stall counts rising. Min Fink takes a timeout to beat the stall. It's an alert play from a guy who's just in his 3rd ever game in the UFA.
Love that recognition from the youngster. Love his ability to separate in these conditions, and a lot more valuable with that great field position to burn the timeout.
Let me correct myself. It's his 5th UFA game. It was just 2 weeks ago you and I were out Golden, and it was his first game, so he's played a lot in a very short time. Let's get to the keys for Colorado.
Look, these conditions are challenging. The roster construction isn't the ideal grouping for Colorado in terms of who's active tonight. we don't need any crazy cutting patterns or holding onto the disc until stall 5. Just keep the progressions simple for your teammates. I think that's going to be incredibly important when this group has the disc in its hand, and something that the coaches have talked about since the founding of the franchise, and that a lot of the guys on the Pod Practice podcast, Mikey Lund, Quinn Feiner, Alex Atkins, Maddie Jackson, talked about. They need to make sure they maintain that joy and connection to their teammates. And that can just be a little simple step, like looking your teammates in the eye when you give them a high five when you come off the field. Making your high fives come above the shoulder as opposed to below the waist. Just appreciate the opportunity, establish that connection to your teammates, and that's going to give you more confidence and more stuff to lean on when the going gets tough.
It was a nice scuba reset from Mint Fink out of the timeout. This red zone possession culminates with a Denny Beaches goal. And he scores for the 3rd time in this opening quarter. And we got 10 seconds left on the clock.
Colorado knows as well as anybody that these end of quarter situations can really swing momentum and keep a team in a game or take a team out of a game. And I'll be interested to see how this line handles this situation. You've got the big guns out there. You've got your Sandy Browns, your Kai Marshalls, your Alex Atkins, your Nick Snushka, Jay Frood, Saeed Semrin. Real big bodies.
How many spikes are you expecting from Atkins if he intercepts this in the end zone?
I love the idea. Might not be happening at the end of the first quarter, but maybe for halftime or end of the game. Could see it.
Will Brandt about 73 yards from the opposing end zone, and Jay Frood intercepts the buzzer-beating attempt.
If that doesn't show you how tricky it is to throw into that upwind condition. You've got Will Brandt with a wide open, stepping into it backhand. I don't know what else will. He couldn't even make it anywhere close to the end zone.
Took Colorado a little time to adjust. They were down 2-0. It could have been 3-0, remember. But the call went Colorado's way on Matt Johnson's D, and it changed the game a little bit. Colorado gets a stop at the buzzer. Summit down 1 here on the road in Minnesota in the Super Series.
My first few years of college, I threw every single day. Of course you want to be a champion. Of course you want to be working towards winning titles.
Be happy, but never satisfied.
Better than ever.
Mikey Lund, one of the co-head coaches of the Colorado Summit. He's in the turquoise, and Tim Kafalis, the other co-head coach, is in the gold.
Yeah, let's call that wet tangerine. You're welcome.
Thank you. How would you grade that first 12 minutes for Colorado?
A C. I think both teams had some turnovers that they want back that are, of course, inspired by the elements. I think there were sequences of this group just trying to find itself. That being said, they are still right here in the fight, and they aren't staring down a massive deficit as they were perhaps against Oakland last weekend earlier in the game, or against Salt Lake. They are right here in this competition.
Summit were just 5 for 10 on their hucks last night at Madison. 2 for 2 so far tonight, both thrown by Atkins. Both backhands. Like the choice to move Frood onto offense tonight. He's put up some really gigantic numbers in this league. Jay Frood, I think, is one of 14 players in the history of the league with 100 goals, 100 assists, and 100 blocks. Reset for Atkins. Nice continue for Nandamin Fink.
I mean, just look at this pace. This group is resetting the disc and moving the point of attack faster than we saw in the home game against Atlanta when there were no adverse conditions.
Coleman might want it back, but it worked out. One of those throws that immediately when it leaves your hand, you think, uh-oh, but David Yu was there to save the day, and we are tied at 4.
I can't believe that worked out. As soon as that went up, I thought for sure that thing was getting blocked. I'm not. Did Mattis maybe get a finger on it at the point of release? Oh yeah, he did. Wow. Coolman's got to be thanking his lucky stars after that one.
Noah still picks up the assist.
Don't be fooled. That's not Chris Ward. I know he's a big fella as well, but Saeed Semrin with some equipment difficulties wearing 33 in white tonight.
Brandt quickly centers to Christian Johnson. Ryan Vinoka. Difficult throw, and Brandt unable to handle it. Sandy Brown looking immediately for Schnushka. Decided to holster, and now he gets the bearded one coming under.
See, this is a situation where I want to see Arnstein get the disc out of his hands and go downfield. He's one of the fastest players out there. And as soon as I say that, give and go clap catch off his hands.
Throw a little bit behind him from Marshall. Vinoka, inside out forehand. Beautiful for Barry. Still work to do though, and that'll finish it off. Second goal for Jordan Taylor. It's a dirty hold for the Windchill.
The number of heartbreaking losses that Colorado has suffered in recent weeks, you can't help but wonder, is that one of the break chances that they're going to come to rue at the end of this game? There's still tons of ultimate left. These guys still have potential. They're still in this game. But when these conditions are so challenging and your field position was so strong to start that break chance, you can't help but wonder how significant that missed opportunity is going to be as this game develops.
By the way, if you're enjoying this game, free on YouTube, every game all season long, and the Ultimate Frisbee Association is available on WatchUFA.tv. There's a great one going on right now. New York outscored Philadelphia 8-4 in the third quarter to take a 16-15 lead. That game headed to the fourth. We got it on in the booth. You should get a second screen going at home. Short-handed Empire tonight. Jack Williams trying to carry New York to a road win over a feisty but underperforming Philadelphia squad so far this season. Speaking of underperforming, Colorado has the disc. The Summit sitting at 2-4. Kuhlman going deep, and he misread it. The disc might have popped up with a little tuft of wind, and it's a break chance for the Windchill.
Ben Feldman has one timeout left. Will he use it, or will he choose to try and tire out this group that's become the O-line for the Summit tonight?
Second and final timeout of the half here, taken by Ben Feldman and the Windchill. Look, I throw around the term underperforming, and I don't want to come off as crude or sarcastic. At full strength, with all their players, with a healthy Quinn Finer, this would be a very different Colorado team. But the fact of the matter is, Finer has been hurt. Danny Landesman has been hurt.
Nate Buchholz has been hurt.
So the injuries have piled up.
Jonathan Nethercutt's been unavailable due to Team USA commitments.
Yeah. So, look, this Summit franchise came out of the gate winning 17 of their first 18 games against West Division opponents. 2022 in the first half of 2023. But since then, since losing the back-to-back games to Salt Lake in the middle of last season, both by 1 goal, by the way, so those were 2 toss-up games. Colorado, started 17-2 through the 5-0 start in 2023. They're just 5-9 in their last 14 games, and Rader unable to control it right in front of the wind chill bench.
Be interested to see what Feldman thinks of that choice to go with that high degree of difficulty throw immediately out of the timeout.
But you look at that 5-9 record in their last 14 games, and yes, Colorado's played a tough schedule. They played New York, they played Atlanta. That includes the losses to Salt Lake last season. But this is a Summit team that certainly has higher expectations than 2-4, which is where they currently sit.
Oh, no question about it.
Difficult throw, but ruled inbounds.
Here's where Colorado's got to get the ball off the line quickly. Where's the support for that swing to the middle? There it is.
He didn't look immediately, but Connor Olson eventually got it there. Samrin intercepted on a full extension layout from Colin Berry.
Heads up defensive play.
Josh Klain launching into the wind. This is going to float, and Vinoka's going to run it down easily. 5 yards outside of the goal line. Reset for Taylor. Reset for Brandt. Will looking for his 4th assist of the game, and he will dish back to Klain. Pretty good transition deep from Colorado after giving up the huck. But Brandt is tough to stop in that situation. And Bevon has his 2nd goal of the night.
I'm not sure if that previous break chance for Colorado that I harped on was technically in the red zone or not, but that feels like 2 red zone turnovers in successive points that Colorado absolutely wants back. I understand there's going to be some execution errors in these challenging conditions, but knifing cross-field shots, they look juicy. You never know where there's another defender lurking. It's easy for us to analyze it that way after the outcome of the play is unfolded, but it's just not the optimal look within the confines of the offense and its progression of reads.
There's no question Saeed Semrin could have hit that throw, but it was not the easiest choice for him in this situation. Trying to whistle that in there through all the traffic. Second break of the night for Minnesota. Colorado's had a few chances to break, but so far the D-line has not been able to convert.
I like that communication there from Min Fink with you. Hey, come closer to me. Let's maintain possession near the middle of the field so that we don't get pinned closer to a sideline.
David Yu might not be a name that a lot of folks know if they haven't watched a ton of Summit this year, but the coaches speak really highly of the impact the first-year Colorado player has made.
He had a highlight reel start to his career with the Summit.
Yu uncorking the backhand, and well, we're 2 for 2. You praise Arnstein, and he makes the mistake, and now David Yu, victim of the commentator's curse as well.
Yeah, he had a fantastic flying layout grab in the home opener against Salt Lake, and I think Tim Kafalis and Mikey Lund just love the way he's energetic in the handler space without being chaotic. But unfortunately, that deep shot just off the money.
No timeouts for Minnesota. So the deep shot intended for Thomas Shope, and the teenager makes the catch off the deflection for the score. He's 18 years old, making plays on the big stage here in the UFA.
I mean, how about the concentration? He's maybe got an inch on Denny Beaches, so this is a pretty fair matchup between the two. Minfink trying to help as the second defender, and Shope just manages to stay with it. It sounds cliche, but the kid just made the play. Sometimes you just can't give up. Gotta stay focused, and he gets the better read. That's why people do the tip drill in practice. That is 100% why that happens. You know when you're coming into a windy confine like Seaphone Stadium that you're gonna get those second chance, third opportunity, trash cleanup disc plays. And Shope meeting the moment right there.
He's headed to England next month to represent the USA in the U20 World Championships. He'll be coached by former Seattle Cascade Reed Koss, is the head coach of that squad. Nervy moments here for Colorado. Summit scored the equalizer on the opening point of this quarter, but that's 3 straight now for Minnesota. It does feel like we're seeing a real sense of urgency from an energy and effort level, but the execution has just not been there. The lack of cohesion with all the new pieces getting mixed in, it's evident. In Minnesota, a team with some urgency as well, particularly after what happened last year in Golden, the 10-goal loss. All wind chill right now here in St. Paul.
I love the commitment to protect the force and maintain the integrity of the mark by selling out and leaving the feet. But when you do that, you risk being completely out of position. Let's take a look at the turnover. Atkins throw just a tad behind his intended receiver, Minfink, and Bruce, I understand selling out, trying to make sure, hey, we can't let a backhand off and let a goal throw go up. But as soon as he does that, he's on the ground and not able to go step for step with Vandy Mortel. It's a calculation that I'm sure these defenders are empowered to make, but it just ended up biting them right there.
Mentioned in the pregame show, Ben Feldman turns 36 years old tomorrow. He's done a tremendous job with this team. Led him to a division title last year, and obviously Minnesota took the Salt Lake Shred to the brink. It took a near miraculous all-time play from Joel Clutton and Elijah Jaime. A great throw from Chad Jorgensen to give the Shred a chance, and a devastating way for last year to finish up. But the thing that Feldman said in the preseason that really resonated with me, he said even though he lost last year, that experience was so valuable, because it's hard to say you want to compete for a championship if you've never been a championship weekend before. Now they've been there, they've tasted it, and they have a different motor about their whole organization.
Well, we had other coaches espouse similar variations on that sentiment. We talked to Bryce Merrill in the preseason as well, the Salt Lake Shred coach and co-owner, and he said that championship weekend was just so illuminating to understand what it's like to be in proximity to the trophy, to have it right there, and understand that after one game you are back down at the bottom of the mountain and you need to find a way to climb all the way back up to the near summit of this league's competition.
No pun intended.
Of course not.
Cameron Lacey has become one of the better pullers in the league. It was a blader knocked down by Yu. Centers to Atkins, quickly continues to Fink. Squeezing that moist disc with 2 hands.
Yeah, I'm with him there. He's getting contact all over the place and not getting a single foul call.
Squeezes that one through a tight space, and Kuhlman runs it down right in front of the Winchell bench. Jay Fruit elevates to maintain possession. Quick pivot. Atkins, laser forehand. Kuhlman, got it.
That offense was in some tricky spots there, almost completely trapped on that right-handed flick sideline. But you notice, once they moved the disc laterally, changed that point of attack, got it back to the center of the field, so many options opened up. And of course, Fruit had to make a great play to save possession, but once he's there in the middle of the field, he can do that step-through backhand that's kind of a mini break, so to speak. And then Atkins getting the disc in quasi-power position. I mean, that is a recipe for success for this offense that's been hard to come by and replicate.
I mean, what kind of season is Alex Atkins has? Week 1, he's with you in the booth in Salt Lake for the Super Series game between DC and the Shred. You know, he plays really well against Seattle in that season opener for the Summit, and plays really poorly against Salt Lake at home. Helps to close out that game on the road with a triple spike celebration. He's had his ups, he's had his downs. I wonder if deep down he'd love to be in the booth with us instead of enduring the downpour, because it is really coming down as hard as it has tonight. As hard as it's been since we arrived here a couple hours before the game. Deep shot for Brandt, incomplete. No timeouts left for Colorado, excuse me.
No, you beat me to the punch right there. It's going to be on this group to find a way to march the disc all the way up the field.
Arnstein connects with Schnushka. Low throw, what a catch. Ruled up. And we get a travel called. We're coming back to the former Dallas standout, Kai Marshall.
Couldn't see anything definitive in that quick replay to suggest that the refs got the call wrong, so support them on that quick up call.
Sandy Brown gets it to Semrin. He's got Goldstein going deep, and not enough float on that backhand from Saeed.
Colorado still yet to convert a break tonight.
Grant slow to pick up. Buying a few breaths on the way to the pylon. Here's Klain. Again, Winchell out of timeouts as well. Klain just launches it. What a catch! Leo Savell Fernandez was fouled after he made the play on the throw.
Look, I love that decision from Klain. You're deep in your own end zone against these elements. Just throw up a prayer. Play field position in that situation.
And what a grab by LSF. Berry cross field, right on the money. Greg Cousins hauls in the beautiful throw on a platter, placed there by Colin Berry. 9-5.
Colorado's got a hold here, or this game will be too far out of reach for a real threat of any kind of second half comeback, especially in these conditions. Credit to Minnesota playing field position, keeping its head up after this first turnover. Yes, they were the beneficiary of perhaps a gift of a turnover from Colorado, but they fought through the point. They continued with their progressions, and they were rewarded with the dirty hold.
Stunning to not see Schnushka clean up that shot from Klain. All right, you're down 4. Your season's on the line. Oh, that pull landed like a half yard out the back on the white paint. Otherwise, you would have been trapped on your back line. Atkins marked by Krennic.
Really nice initiation throw there from Atkins.
Good cut from Frood. Back to Kins, power position. Working with Minfink. Beautiful little two-man disc movement. Give and goes aplenty. Good switch from Minnesota. Tough catch by Kuhlman. DeClercq bouncing on the mark. You can really feel the intensity all the way up here in the press box from down on the field. These are two teams playing hard.
I mean, the stands are vibrating from the defense cheers. This crowd is into it.
And the Winchell certainly are in first place, but they don't want to start their home season with 2 straight losses here at Seafoam. A team that Minnesota lost to by 10 a year ago in a game that really, frankly, didn't even feel that close. Colorado able to convert a bunch of possession-saving snags throughout the point before Kuhlman connects with you to bring the Summit within 3. Just 4 seconds left on the second quarter clock.
Love the patience, love the poise. Couple high stall situations, couple really athletic plays required as we take a look at Kuhlman's grab once again. But that's a good confidence boost for that group. Hey, we had time ticking down on the clock. We had to hold in that situation, and we did it. That's something that this group has to hang on to and build on going into halftime. And equally important, Colorado defending this end of quarter situation right here.
Atkins throwing with a slight breeze at his back. And Minnesota's going to have to play it from the back line. If you're Minnesota, just make sure you don't give Colorado the disc in these 4 seconds.
There you go. You hear them yelling, hold it, hold it, hold it.
Sometimes that is the right call. And that's the end of the first half. All things considered, Ian, it's not the disgusting ultimate that maybe we expected. You know, Minnesota has made some plays. Colorado has counterpunched. We got a pretty interesting 9-6 game.
Credit to Minnesota for converting many of the opportunities that it's had in form of breaks and dirty holds. Colorado's got to find a way to dial things in the red zone and when it's got its D-line with an opportunity. Those are the 2 biggest phases of the game. We've heard coaches from Colorado and around the league talk about the importance of the red zone offense. If they can adjust those screws and tighten them a little bit, there's a recipe for a comeback here in the second half.
Minnesota 4 of 8 on break chances. Colorado 0 for 4. The reason this is a 3-point game is because Colorado scored the final goal in each quarter. How they can be getting outbroken 4-zip and only be down by 3. Going to put the headset on the sideline on the head of Mikey Lund, coach of the Colorado Summit. Mikey, thanks for joining us. All sorts of adversity between the travel, the overnight, the weather. How do you feel like your team's competing out there tonight?
The heart's there. That's the most important thing. You know, it's another hole that we've dug ourselves in, which seems to be a common theme. But fortunately we're used to being here, and the guys are definitely ready to compete.
Mikey, over the course of this road trip, we've seen all kinds of guys slotting in and out of the offensive group. We saw you and TK put all of your lines in a blender there in the second half against Madison. What kind of identity and personnel can we expect to see from your offense in the second half?
You know, I think we're trying to lean away from X's and O's a little bit this last half of the road trip and just lean into hard work, grittiness, knowing that it's going to be sloppy and effort, to be honest.
What are the conditions like on the field right now, Mike?
We're on the low side for sure. It's hard to operate from this sideline. It's a little windy, but the rain's actually not too bad. So it's all things considered, it's kind of a nice day to be playing Frisbee.
Any key you can emphasize to try and get this group to dial things in the red zone?
You know, we talked about finishing our swings, potentially bringing extra people outside the end zone so we're able to do that more easily and spread them out. I think it's important to move them side to side so we can open up little pockets in between.
All right, Mikey, appreciate you coming over. Thanks for the perspective. Best of luck going forward.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Mike Lund, co-head coach of the Colorado Summit, spoke of the importance of finding the joy and playing with that love of the game. We've seen some execution miscues, but the Summit are not out of this game by any stretch. Alex Atkins trying to carry his team to the finish line of this long road trip through the Central Division. Minnesota, a 3-goal lead at the half.
Oh, he's getting the crowd going.
Are you kidding me? You are kidding me! Holy smokes!
Was there any doubt? Was there any doubt?
This is going to be the game. Joel Clutton battling for position. He tips it to the end zone where it's caught by Elijah Jaime at the buzzer to tie the game. Incredible awareness from Clutton, and we've got overtime tonight. Throw like a pro with a new Pro Ultimate Frisbee. Created with input from the sport's premier passers, the Pro Frisbee is specially designed to fly through the wind and maintain its edge. Experience the official Frisbee of the UFA and get yours at shopufa.com today. On the grand stage to keep possession alive. Huge bid, gets the double. Great opportunity for the Germans, and they break with ease.
Throw it the full 80 yards to the field? Are you kidding me?
And an incredible catch.
You are kidding me!
Oh my God!
One of the plays of the year!
I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight. They hate when you elevate.
Well, the wind and the weather, certainly a key storyline here at Seafoam Stadium in St. Paul. Tomorrow is expected to be one of the hottest days of the year in the Twin Cities. Saw notifications about excessive heat warnings coming up tomorrow, but a different story today. It's a 9-6 lead for Minnesota over Colorado at halftime. Ian, let's take a quick look around the rest of what's going on in the Ultimate Frisbee Association tonight. The New York Empire, despite trailing by as many as 4 in the first half at Philly, come from behind to win 21-20. So a severely shorthanded New York team gets that road win. The Empire now 5-3, and the Phoenix dropped to 1-6.
Not for lack of effort on Max Trifolis's part. He did all he could to try and catapult Philly in that matchup, but ultimately not enough for the Phoenix, who are just struggling to find any kind of success so far this season.
Yeah, they've had a tough string, and credit to the Empire and all their newcomers and Coach Anthony Nunez for making it work and getting the 1-goal win on the road. Elsewhere, undefeated Carolina up 15-10 on Houston. That game's in the third. Flyers trying to get to 6-0.
There was actually a fire alarm that went off at the stadium there in Durham that required a brief evacuation and delay of the game, but they are back underway.
That's hilarious. I did not see that. So Carolina, the Hustle clobbered the Havoc yesterday, and the Hustle had just 4 turnovers in 4 quarters last night against Houston. That betters the record that Pittsburgh set a couple weeks ago in their win over Indy.
I mean, this Hustle team is as strong as any other in the association when everyone is available and committed. I think Brett Holzmeyer has taken his game, if it's even possible to say that, to another level this season. He's just been superhuman, and I'm so excited to see what he can do for this team down the stretch.
Yeah, I didn't come out directly and say it in the Tuesday toss, but I certainly implied I strongly believe right now Carolina and Atlanta are the two best teams in the league. I thought it was just pure outright disrespect for Ruffner to have Boston and Salt Lake ahead of Atlanta. But, you know, he's got to have an opinion. I respect that. How about Seattle, number 6, ahead of New York, ahead of Colorado, ahead of Minnesota, the Cascades. Do you believe in the Cascades, Ian Toner?
That's a great question. I feel like 6 is a tad high at the moment.
A tad, like 6 spots?
No, I wouldn't say 6 spots. I'd still definitely rank them above Colorado at the moment.
You think the Cascades are better than the Austin Soul?
I do think they are. I think Austin has potential, but Austin has not played up to its potential this season. Mark Evans is now dealing with an injury that's going to be a big deal. I think the way that this young group and young core in Seattle has grown merits some really strong recognition.
Let's shift our attention back to our game. Ben Feldman, the coach of the Wind Chill, joins us down on the sideline. Ben, thanks for joining us. You got off to a great start. Colorado made a little bit of a push. What was the key to your team rallying in the second quarter and putting a couple breaks together?
Yeah, I mean, converting our chances, right? I'm pretty happy with the defensive pressure. We're forcing turnovers, which we want to do. Both teams have had a couple crazy catches on both sides, but I don't know. We want to stay on defense. Our offense is doing a good job. They're taking some shots, keeping field position in check, which is important coming out of our last game here. We had some big learnings there, so I've been happy. We feel like we could probably be up a little bit more, but yeah, got to clean it up a little bit more and keep the pressure on the second half.
Ben, what's it meant to have the support of this crowd and in this atmosphere despite all of the challenging conditions? We're feeling vibrations from their cheers up here in the booth.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I probably should be selling umbrellas. Failure on my part there. Should have planned better, but no, it's great having people out. We even got a little bit of sun coming through here now, but I'm just thankful we got this game in, right? We're excited to be at home. This is a big game, and all the fans coming out, we really appreciate it. And, you know, a little rain never hurt nobody, right?
Before we let you go, Ben, what was your message to the team at halftime just a couple minutes ago?
Yeah, we got to keep it. We got to keep it going. Stay aggressive, defensive pressure. It's mental focus. We got the legs. It's not a question. We know we're gonna have the legs in the second half. It's just keeping it dialed in, keeping it focused, making the right decisions, and keeping it simple. Just play hard. And I think we'll have a good outcome here.
All right, Ben. Happy early birthday.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ben Feldman, head coach of the Minnesota Wind Chill. And he's right. It is getting a little bit brighter right now. Still misting a little bit, but who knows? Maybe the sun will make an appearance. Watch UFA.tv to watch every game all season long around the Ultimate Frisbee Association. Other games going on right now. DC has a 10-6 lead at Toronto at late in the second quarter in East Division action. Seattle's all over Portland, 14-5, so that's a credit to the Cascades. Indianapolis leads Detroit 21-13. It looks like today will not be the day for the Mechanix to end their 80-game losing streak. Turnover for the Wind Chill on the deep shot intended for Bevon. And let's see if Colorado can convert. They were 0 for 4 on their break chances in the first half, Ian.
This is a group that really needs to find consistency here, and that is not how you start the second half.
Grant easily intercepts the deep shot thrown by Semrin. Klain ripping it long to the end zone. It floats absolutely perfectly for Christian Johnson. What a shot from Klain.
He's the kind of thrower that you want out there in these conditions. He's the veteran. He's got some strong decision making. He's got experience, and he has the strength and the power to fight through a little bit of wind and a little bit of rain. Yes, I understand there was one missed connection earlier in the throw, but with him on the field, everyone else has to respect his ability to add that vertical dimension to the Wind Chill attack, even in challenging conditions.
Adam Ruffner's blowing me up right now in the Slack for my comments, tweaking his power rankings. I'll just say this, Adam, I watched the games, and I've seen Atlanta in person 3 times this season, and they are the second best team in the league right now, and they might end up winning the whole thing by the end of the season. 2 losses at Carolina, shorthanded.
Maybe you need to go on swing pass this week or next week and just duke it out with it.
Well, they've never invited me, but we'll see if that invitation is extended. I doubt it. Kuhlman shoots it, and Atkins makes an acrobatic grab over Dylan DeClerc for a phenomenal score.
It worked. I don't think it's the perfect high percentage play, and shout out to Atkins for making the play in the moment. Who knows? Maybe Kuhlman thought, hey, I'm going with the size advantage with Atkins over DeClerc, but he's not a slouch of a defender. Hey, Colorado will take what it can get at this point, but I think this group needs some cleaner progressions and possessions if they're going to really, really, really get back in this game.
As the coaches said, he's had his ups and downs this year, Alex Atkins, but they really believe that in the big moments, he can play big. He's had the disc in his hands literally 3 games in a row with the game on the line. Came up with the goods at Salt Lake. Got point blocked by Aaron Rosenthal in the Spiders game, and then last night, an interesting choice. He thought he saw the space. Jake Carrico made the stop when Colorado had a chance to tie in the closing 30 seconds of regulation. These interdivisional matchups are always interesting. Different styles, lack of familiarity, and another turnover from the Winchell O-line out of the gate here in this third quarter. Tremendous from Brian Vinoka.
Well, you could see the lack of cohesion and familiarity with that group after that turnover. Learned, expecting a different progression, someone to come back into that backfield space for the reset off the line.
Bookends for Bevon. Did they rule him out of bounds? Vinoka being called out. Now the officials are all going to come together.
When the player gets the defense against the goal, that's bookends.
They just showed it on the video board.
I do think he maintained contact with the ground, dragging, I believe it was his left foot as his right foot was up in the air.
And now the officials are calling it a goal. And that's the right call.
It was close. I don't blame him for making the other call initially. Thank goodness we got the support of the video board to help us adjust that one.
I don't know if the officials actually looked at the board. I think they just talked amongst themselves. But Vinoka, whatever you ask this guy to do, he does it at a really high level.
And we talked about it during the Madison broadcast over Memorial Day weekend. He's turning in some of the best ultimate in his career because he's valuing the disc more than ever before. He's completing passes at a higher rate. And all night in these conditions, he's been the go-go gadget with the motor and the churning after the turn, on the dirty hold, just doing it all for Minnesota.
Here we go, defense. Fans, step on the gas.
Here's Kuhlman underneath. Nanda Min Fink floats a deep shot. Bobbled and dropped, but a foul is going on Brandon Mattis, which will give Thomas Brewster a chance to try and punch in this hold. And Alex Atkins says, I'll take that.
And look at this, he's mocking the Minnesota Grey Duck guys with a quack quack cheer. I'm personally, sure I'm showing my hometown bias a little bit here. I'm happy for Thomas Brewster getting involved there. He did make a great catch through the contact there. And Brewster, a guy who turned in a 40-goal season in the Colorado Summit's debut campaign in the Ultimate Frisbee Association. Kind of slid down the depth chart last year.
hasn't always been called on in the active 20, let alone on the O-line, but he's getting the opportunity here tonight and making a great play for this offensive group. He is someone who can definitely still contribute for this team.
Jordan Taylor rips the backhand. Colin Berry chased by Kai Marshall. Berry in stride. What a shot from Jordan Taylor.
If you're gonna dare to beat Kai Marshall deep, you better not give him any chance to jump at the disc or make it anything close to a 50-50 ball. And what did Jordan Taylor do? Put it right in the back corner for Colin Berry to run onto. Kai Marshall turned on the jets, and he still couldn't get there. Beautiful execution from Taylor. Wonderful finish from Berry. There have been multiple throws tonight where Minnesota's offense has gotten that disc on the right-handed flick sideline and thrown a skinny inside huck that really challenges the integrity of the defense. We saw Josh Klain do something like that in the first quarter, and we're seeing it again there from Taylor to Berry.
Jordan Taylor with the assist. Let's go defense.
A rare errant pull from the Winchell. And Atkins will initiate from the brick. Working with you in the backfield. All season long, this Colorado offense has been without Quinn Finer. And that's just such a massive loss for all the different things that Quinn brings on the field from a leadership standpoint. His ability to cut, his ability to distribute. That's a tough guy who, and he joined us on the broadcast during the Atlanta game. If they get him back for the last 5 games, it could change the Summit's fortunes. The question is, will they still be in the mix? If they lose tonight, they fall to 2-5, and with how Seattle and Oakland and Salt Lake are playing, even if you run the table, it might not be enough for the Summit. Atkins goes down. It's a foul or a travel, and Atkins has a good giggle over the call, which is going against Colorado.
Good job by Minnesota just backing Colorado up, and here's the challenge that we asked Mikey Lund about. Were more people coming back for those swings and those horizontal attack cuts? Logan Bruce was there to finish that one up.
6 minutes, 23 seconds remaining in the third quarter.
First goal of the night for the former Radical, Logan Bruce. Summit able to swing the disc that time, creating a little more space, and it's back to a 3-goal game. Now, yesterday, the Summit were down as many as 6 against the Radicals, and they had the disc with a chance to tie in the final 30 seconds. So we got 18 and a half minutes to go, 3-goal game. I mean, where's Colorado at right now in your mind?
I don't want to state the obvious, but we can't just do this trading dance back and forth. They need to find a way to generate a little bit more pressure, and they have to value the disc after the turnover. We haven't seen this group do that. We've seen multiple first throw or easy execution turnovers from the D-line. I can tell that this group is fighting to hang on. I agree with Mikey's assessment that the heart and the effort is there. You just got to dial in the decision-making and the execution.
Colin Berry has had one gigantic night for the Minnesota Wind Chill.
And once again, That was Josh Klain hucking near the right-handed flick sideline with an inside-out backhand. That lane has been abused all night long by the Minnesota throwers. They know where the soft spots are against Colorado's defense. Great pressure there from Snushka, but with a precision like that on the throw, it's just so tough for him to do anything about it.
Well, we talk about the Summit defense. They traditionally run force middle. And Ben Feldman said how last year the wind chill weren't really ready for that. They don't see that a lot in the Central Division. In the preseason this year, Minnesota started running some of the Colorado force middle defense. One, to add it to their arsenal, but two, to help prepare their offense for this particular moment.
And you're seeing the benefit of this group applying its learnings right here and not being surprised or stymied by this different defensive look. I'm sure Tim Kafalis would beg to expand or characterize the complexity of his defense a little differently than, hey, we're just simply running a force middle. But you look at it on tape to the simplest terms, and that is one way to characterize it. We've also seen them run this year some fairly vanilla man force flick defense as well. So
Kuhlman, difficult throw, and Atkins is there. Krennic with the footsteps as if he was going to make the play, but instead he's getting taunted by the one and only Alex Atkins.
I mean, I love this from Atkins. Kuhlman, once again, something of a trust throw. I'm sure he would characterize it differently if we asked him about it. But Atkins is doing what he can to keep things light, to give energy to his team, to be a good teammate. I mean, just like last night, he's shouldering so much of the load. Already 55 pass attempts, and we still got a quarter and a half left to go. Involved in 6 scores. I mean, what else do you want from him?
He's certainly playing with joy right now. There's no doubt about that. 25 years old, originally from Philadelphia. Big time player for Colorado Mama Bird, and now for the Summit. Here's Rader underneath to Cousins.
Great spacing from the wind chill on this offensive possession.
Christian Johnson for Jordan Taylor. Taylor rising up.
I mean, again, it's that same inside backhand lane that's leading to the goal throw. I understand that one hung a split second longer than they might have liked, giving Colorado defenders a chance at making the play. But that is the throwing lane that Colorado's defenders need to be hyper aware of and maybe adjust their marks a little bit. Maybe downfield defenders who are in the vicinity being extra aware when the disc is in that lethal position, providing an opportunity to help if possible.
And you said it, that one hung. I don't know if that's a 50-50, but that's a play to be made by a Colorado defender. And Chance Cochran was a step or two behind. Lacey's pull into the wind, fielded by Atkins, centers to Frood. The crowd cheering for defense. Logan Pruce overshoots Noah Kuhlman.
Fans, the stats are pretty clear on when you make noise. That defense performs better.
Tristan Vandy Mortel has been a difference maker for the D-line, but not right there. Atkins, the D and the dime, intercepts the pass. Quick dish for David Yu. Summit back within 3.
That is the body language and the effort that we want to see from Alex Atkins. I'm curious what Tristan Vandy Mortel saw.
He just did not see the poach. at all.
Get another look at the turn earlier in the point. Coleman had separation. You could tell the wind just getting the better of that one. And I think Vandy Mortel thought Atkins was going to peel with his assignment and continue going downfield. But that's just a high IQ play. I first learned about that kind of defensive block from a college teammate, Tom Lasitra. Hey, you're in the fourth side lane, your receiver's clearing out. Just take a little peek over your shoulder and see if there's anyone else coming to that space, and you can just jump the lane for a quick poach block.
A whistle and a foul on Schnushka. Minnesota's O-line is still unbroken here tonight. Colorado has had 6 chances. Winchell have gotten the disc back every time.
What a performance from Josh Klain tonight, too. Sure, he hasn't completed every single pass, but he's taken high percentage shots. He's gotten this team out of challenging situations in its own section of the field. You can't put that one on him, but of course, involved in a turnover as we're praising him.
Incomplete off the hands of Jordan Taylor. And you and I have had a real knack tonight for making these things happen. Timeout, Summit.
We were inspired by our colleague Adam Ruffner, who committed the commentator's curse 3 times last night in the Madison versus Colorado broadcast.
Just to be clear, it's never the broadcaster's fault. We're just calling the game and just having a little fun. And we got a timeout for the Summit here as the Colorado team looks for their first break. I mean, here's a look back at what happened last night. Pierin Robert was the star for the Radicals.
And who saw that coming with the active 20 for both of these teams? You feel like you did?
About Robert being the star?
Yeah.
No, but I mean, he's had a nice season so far, and look, it was a wacky game. And Madison scored 15 in the first half, only 1 goal in the first 6 minutes of the third. This is late. They're still down 4. Kuhlman brings them back into the game. Radicals with some mistakes open the door to a comeback. Schnushka bring them within 1. And then check this out, under a minute, Summit with a chance. And Atkins sees the space. Jake Carrico anticipates it beautifully, intercepted the shot intended for Chance Cochran. And that was how Colorado's comeback fell just short last night at Bree Stevens Field.
And is this where a Colorado comeback begins tonight? Can this group that's been primarily playing offense convert a break for the first time tonight for the Summit?
Yeah, it's weird. It feels strange to call this group the O-line because it has been such a hodgepodge and a mixture of players throughout the season. I mean, Atkins did most of his damage on the D-line last week against Salt Lake, but there's the first Summit break of the night as Brewster brings it in, and it's a 2-goal game with 2:14 to play in the third.
Nothing crazy or sexy or risky about that possession after the turnover. Just fundamental offense, moving the disc laterally, hitting the inside soft spots, and the easy, obvious continues. That's the most comfortable that I don't know if it's fair to call it makeshift, but tonight's O-line has looked.
Colorado looking up at Oakland and Seattle, closest to them in the standings. Of course, San Diego's also sitting at 2-4 as they take on their SoCal rivals LA this evening out west. Difficult throw, and Klain bumped as he makes the catch to prevent the Callahan. Atkins out there on D, continuing to play with the joy that his coaches have wanted him to bring to the field. He had a long chat about the body language dynamic that he can sometimes fall into and how much it impacts his teammates. And it's not even his fault in their mind. They understand he is who he is, but he may not realize the impact he has over his teammates, even more experienced teammates, how much they lean on him as a pulse of their team. Brandt, tough shot up the line, well placed and caught by a sliding Greg Cousins, but he rushed the throw, and off the deflection, Klain can't bring it in. The block from Colorado's Atkin Ornstein.
That's what the youngsters' speed can do. Of course, you want to tell everyone to catch their blocks. A heart-stopping sequence there as Klain had a shot at the disc on a second opportunity, but now Colorado with a chance to break with under a minute left in this quarter.
And you got Atkins on the field, so I don't know if you need to burn your final timeout. Atkins shooting it. Pronove didn't realize it initially. Now he does, and he makes the play shy of the goal line. Pronove to the end zone. Summit are within one. Aylin Learned with his first goal in the Ultimate Frisbee Association.
And a PG-13 celebration that I don't think I could describe in words. But man, he is feeling himself right there. What a read there. As we take a look at the block from Arnstein, not giving up, and then Atkins with a phenomenal touch huck. Look at that effort there from Pronove. He didn't need to go up and high point it. He just had to keep Cousins on his back hip. He did that. And here is Aylin Learned letting everyone know how he likes to spend his free time.
First assist of the season for Pronove. First goal of Learned's career. And it's a one-goal game. Back-to-back breaks for Colorado after they had 0 breaks through most of the first 3 quarters. Final 15 seconds of the third. Rader back for Brandt. Rain coming down once again. 6 seconds for Vinoka. Forehand to the end zone. Rader jockeying for position, and it's not Rader, but the trash man, Dylan DeClerc, who catches the goal at the buzzer for Minnesota. How many times are we going to see the secondary guy make that play and change a game?
That's got to be point number 1 on every visiting team scouting report when you come to Seafoam Stadium. Do not give up on any of these discs. They're jockeying for position, and who gets it but the defensive standout, Dylan DeClerc.
He's getting the crowd going.
Are you kidding me? You are kidding me! Holy smoke!
Was there any doubt? Was there any doubt?
This is going to be the game. Joe Clutton battling for position. He tips it to the end zone where it's caught by Elijah Jaime at the buzzer to tie the game. Incredible awareness from Clutton, and we've got overtime tonight.
Throw like a pro with a new Pro Ultimate Frisbee. Created with input from the sport's premier passers, the Pro Frisbee is specially designed to fly through the wind and maintain its edge. Experience the official Frisbee of the UFA and get yours at shopufa.com today. On the grand stage to keep possession alive.
Huge bid, gets the double. Great opportunity for the Germans, and they break with ease. Throw it the full 80 yards to the field? Are you kidding me? And an incredible catch. You are kidding me. Oh my God! One of the plays of the year.
I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight. They hate when you elevate.
Minnesota leads by 2 as we head to the fourth. Colorado won that third quarter 7-6, but a huge buzzer-beating score from the Wind Chill's Dylan DeClerc to double the lead as we head to the fourth. Colorado on offense, trailing by a couple. Atkins, and now Min Fink undershoots the deep shot, and it's easily swatted down by Minnesota's Anthony Jurley. First career block for Jurley, and a break chance for the Wind Chill to try to create a little more separation here early in these final 12 minutes.
The elements have not relented here in the fourth quarter, as Min Fink clearly looking to send a deep shot, but the moisture on the disc just making that throw slip out of his hand at the point of release, and Ben Feldman takes a timeout with this early break chance in the quarter.
Let's take a look at the stats so far through 3 quarters and 32 seconds here in the fourth. Through 3, Minnesota had just 13 turns. Colorado with its 15th turn of the game moments ago. Again, Colorado started this game 0 for 6 on break chances, but they had their back-to-back breaks late in the third to make it a 1-goal game. Briefly.
And we saw some better red zone decision-making in the third quarter to go along with that. So now this group needs to find a way to make a stand and stop Minnesota from lengthening its lead. But with the performance that Josh Klain is having, that's going to be a tall order.
Max Longchamp, the assistant coach for the Wind Chill, with a look on his face that says, I have worked all year long to try to prepare this team to win this game. And out of the timeout, it's Matt Rader going deep. Another assist for Josh Klain, and the Wind Chill lead by 3.
From a Colorado perspective, that's too easy. From a Minnesota perspective, that's perfect. Klain displaying his power and precision. Rader emphasizing his presence as the deep threat that he is. And how about that performance from Josh Klain tonight? Now over 400 throwing yards, 3 assists. That one coming on technically a deep point for Minnesota. And once again, Colorado just digging itself into a deeper hole than it needs to be in.
Second goal of the night for Rader. Feels like Minnesota's still trying to figure out exactly how to use Rader on their O-line. Of course, they're without Quinn Snyder tonight. I like the chemistry that those two were developing together.
Yeah, it creates real matchup problems when you've got 2 vertical threats with size and speed, and you have to decide how you handle your defensive assignments, as Frood appears to get fouled on that play.
Brought his arm back, and Minnesota's Noah Hansen makes contact. Clock continues to tick. 10.5 minutes or so left here in this fourth quarter. Atkins finds the open man in the end zone. Thomas Brewster wondering where the defense went.
I love that celebration for Brewster. And that's the kind of nose for the end zone that this guy has always had when he's been a part of this franchise.
You mentioned it earlier. Huge first season. He scored 40 goals in 11 games played in 22. His role changed a little bit last year, and that brought his numbers down.
Yeah, I think he was fighting to get in the active 20 last season. The team saw him as more of a defensive contributor just because of all the talent and youth and speed that was present on the O-line. But at the end of the day, when you've got timing instincts like he does and the ability to read space, he's still going to find a way to have an impact.
By the way, no let-up for the Seattle Cascades tonight. They led 7-0 in Portland at the end of the first. They now lead 18-8. Seattle looking like they're going to get to 7-2 in second place out west. Is Colorado going to suffer its 5th loss in 7 games, or the Summit? Can they rally on the road amidst these wet and windy conditions? Savel Fernandez puts it on a platter, and Raider with a bit of a balletic finish to that score. It counts all the same.
It's funny, just when we were thinking about making the point that, hey, Matt Rader's had kind of a quiet night. He's just been another piece on the O-line. He gets involved in back-to-back scores and demonstrates exactly why he is still a dangerous deep threat in this association. You saw him jump just a split second too early there, but his size and positioning too much for Noah Kuhlman to get around or do anything about.
Raider will turn 33 next month. Started playing in Seattle as a 6th grader at Seattle Academy. He's a track and field athlete in college. Atkins facing this double team, really a triple team when you factor in Mother Nature. A floater, and oh, Frood comes up with it. Mattis was right there, but Frood makes the play and then gets out of the double team, and then skies for another floater from Learned, and then Frood throws the score to Brewster.
Brewster trying to recreate Stacy Gaskell's kick spike to the moon from a couple seasons ago at College Nationals. But that was an unbelievable sequence with a couple of phenomenal grabs and throws through contact. Look at this first one. Frood just stabs it. And the finishing connection there with Brewster. What a night Jay's having predominantly on this offense.
He enters the night 10th in UFA history in career plus minus. He's put up a lot of big numbers. I mentioned the over 100 blocks, over 100 assists. He's got over 250 goals. Jay's still looking to get the glory. He has lost in the championship game 3 times in his career. He's also been at championship weekend a lot, which speaks to the impact he's made, and that's a bad throw from Klain, intercepted by the Summit.
What recognition there from Kuhlman to poach off and take advantage of the underneath opportunity.
Trying to save that last time out. Tough spot with the wind and the rain and the pressure. Schnushka back for Arnstein, keeping it moving.
That's the critical throw. Getting the disc back against the grain.
Chance Cochran, an important player in these moments. Arnstein to the sideline, a sliding catch from Goldstein, and then a turnover right on the goal line. The type of mistake that has just crushed Colorado all season long.
Can't disagree with you there.
No longer a missed, by the way. Got to update that. It is coming down steadily. Raider going long. Another break chance for the Summit. You can forget about that red zone turnover pretty quick if you can march it down here. And a decision to make for TK and Mikey Lund. Do you burn your last time out right here? Semren to Goldstein. That disc was hand blocked, but it was caught on the reset anyway. If I was Colorado, I'd use the timeout, and that's why. These conditions, even if you just try to wait 90 seconds until the conditions lighten up.
Yeah, that sequence.
That's a difficult play as Shnushka absolutely drills Cousins from behind.
Wouldn't be surprised to see a UC here.
I'm with you. I'm surprised it's not 20. We're under 7 minutes to go, and now the officials, well, the clock is still ticking, but our crew is chatting, and now they're going to add 10 more yards and give Shnushka the unsportsmanlike conduct. Clock ran about 10-15 seconds off before it stopped with 6:35 left in the stadium clock.
Is Jordan Taylor trying to invoke the integrity and say that, hey, that didn't warrant a UC?
I might be mistaken, but I don't believe players are allowed to overturn unsportsmanlike conduct fouls. I think even if he declined the yardage, for instance, it would still be a UC on Shnushka.
And then with a second one, he could be ejected from the contest.
Tricky reset, and a travel was called, which I think was the right call because you saw his pivot foot sliding around. Taylor to the end zone, a floater, deflected and caught. Another huge deflection goes Minnesota's way, and Cousins brings it in.
It's been that kind of night, that kind of season for the Colorado Summit. Not quite sure how else to put it. This group with multiple unforced turnovers on this possession. There was an open swing in the red zone, miss. Noah Kuhlman didn't have to rush that flick throw, and you knew it was going to be tough with the wind and rain coming down harder than ever at this sequence. And phenomenal defensive effort there by Kuhlman and Arnstein.
Two Summit players going to the ground in unison. And Cousins back in the Ultimate Frisbee Association this year for the first time since 2018.
Yeah.
He scored 62 goals in the 2017 season for this team. I mean, he's put up some really gigantic numbers in this league. Stepped away, but he's still in his early 30s. He'll be 32 in August. Out of the University of Minnesota, Duluth. I beg your pardon, Cousins out of Tulane. Colorado multiple chances to get back within one, trailing by 3. Yu off the ricochet brought in by Minfink. Atkins juggles and catches. Summit not looking all that smooth throughout the possession, and it didn't hurt them until it did. Third juggle was the drop.
First turnover Jay Frood's been involved in tonight as well.
And it feels like the wind chill could throw the knockout punch here. Dylan DeClerc trying to do just that. Brandon Mattis to the end zone, rips it down for Minnesota. What a way to score his 100th career goal in the association.
Minnesota deserves every bit of this lead and this pending victory. They've applied defensive pressure. They've exploited the weaknesses in Colorado's defense. They've punished the Summit after their own mistakes. They've responded to adversity when Colorado got this game back within 1. They fought through the elements. Hats off to Mattis, to Klein, to Rader, to Feldman, to Longchamp. This group is doing what it needed to do tonight.
An original member of the Wind Chill, Mattis has been on the team since the beginning. Last week he passed Goose Helton on the all-time UFA games played list. He realized it was going to happen, so he reached out unbeknownst to Goose, to his wife Kayla, asking if he could get one of Goose Helton's 00 wristbands to wear during that game in his honor, because obviously Goose Helton dealing with an injury that's kept him off the field the last couple seasons. He said, this is not the way I wanted to pass you on the all-time games played list, but classy move from Mattis. Today he ties KPS, 10th all-time, 121st game played. Nice adjustment by Frood on the huck from Atkins. And the floater from Min Fink brings Colorado within 3, just over 4 minutes to play.
Honestly, it looked like they were playing a game of 500 when Atkins was pointing and deciding to just unleash a deep shot to an almost stationary target. Hey, maybe he just trusted the matchup at that point. You see, Coolman was just standing there, so was Jay Frood. But as you pointed out in live action, the better read there from Frood, and nice hustle there from Min Fink to follow things up and attack the space.
I got a difficult question for you, but I'm going to throw you on the spot.
Love that. Can't wait.
Who do you think's been Minnesota's best player tonight? And it's a tough question because the stats are really balanced for this Wind Chill team. It has been a true team effort.
That's the answer I'm going to give you, is this group has done a great job using not only its star power, but also its depth to get in this position. You could say Will Brandt was the star of the first quarter or the first half. You could say Rader has been the star of the fourth quarter. You could say Vinotka has shined in certain segments. That is the hallmark of a really strong team and a phenomenal team pending win.
Isabel Fernandez has had another good night. Colin Berry has been very good. Jordan Taylor. Brandt didn't release that one the way he wanted to, and Shnushka makes the play, colliding with Cousins in the process. So a chance here for the Summit. It just won't go away. They won't die. Chance Cochran didn't have a cutter. And it's going to be easily smacked down by Rader. Sandy Brown wasn't going.
I mean, that's a look of desperation from Cochran and the Summit.
2 minutes, 50 seconds.
Plain. It's a nice holster. You don't need that shot right now.
In reality, this group just has to possess the ball and play catch and run out the clock. Thought I heard timeout on the field, Mike, but not sure if it got registered as an actual timeout call with the officials.
Only the coaches can call timeout.
Or the player with the disc.
Right. Who could have ever imagined, after Colorado's loss to Atlanta, looking at the upcoming schedule, at Oakland, at Salt Lake, at Madison, at Minnesota, the only game on that stretch that they would win against the undefeated Shred.
Yeah, I don't understand it. That's not what I predicted or what I expected either.
Plain is going deep, and it's knocked away by Cochran, making amends for his turnover earlier in the point. But time preciously ticking away right now. And a timeout taken by Colorado, the Summit's final timeout. Down by 3 with 97 seconds remaining on the clock.
I mean, what an effort there from Cochran in his first season in the UFA with the Colorado Summit. He is just barely a month removed from a very intense heart procedure, an ablation, and the fact that he was able to return to action so quickly by May 18th and be able to compete and still stay healthy, understand his condition, and compete until the final segments of this game, just a testament to his discipline, determination, and dedication, and also a testament to the marvels of modern medicine.
It's an astonishing story, and I'm glad you brought it up. He had the heart surgery on May the 6th, made his UFA debut 12 days later. A condition that he says he's likely had since birth, but it was officially diagnosed last fall after the USA Ultimate Club National Championships. 8 days after the surgery, he returned to lifting. 10 days after, he returned to practice. 12 days after, he returned to the field. It really is a great story for Chance Cochran, but unfortunately, the wins have not followed that the storybook narrative for Cochran's first professional season in this league. Do the Summit have perhaps one more big swing left in them? Kuhlman with a double team coming to Atkins. You need 3 goals in the next 80 seconds just to force overtime. Minfink back for you. Closing in on a minute to play. Hammer to the end zone, will not work.
I saw the space, I saw the opening. I don't hate that decision under the circumstances. It's been that kind of night for Colorado.
That kind of season. Summit 45 seconds away from dropping to 2-5. And the final timeout for the wind chill. Ben Feldman's team going to move to 5-1, including tonight. The wind chill play 5 of their final 7 games of the season at home. There are only 2 remaining road games on back-to-back days at the end of the month, at Chicago and at Detroit. Minnesota's got a spicy matchup with the New York Empire at TCO Stadium, site of last year's championship weekend, coming up on July the 12th.
That's going to be electric.
What do you think about that matchup? I mean, who knows what the Empire are going to look like 4 weeks from now, considering what they showed tonight. They found a way to win in Philly, but it certainly is not the Empire that we've grown used to over the last half decade.
I mean, it all comes down to what's the traveling 20 in the active roster for both of those teams. If both of those squads bring their best group, I want to peg New York as a slight favorite, but you saw how close and how far New York can get pushed, not only against Philadelphia tonight, but in other matchups this season when they don't have their elite with them.
Paul Krennic gets his first goal of the night.
And he responds with a Grey Duck chant of his own. It's funny. This guy is an exceptional talent, and he's being asked to play a role that is kind of gritty and sometimes unrecognized. I need you to grind on the D-line, and I need you to help direct traffic after a turnover. You're not necessarily going to rack up the stats, but you need to instill poise in the group, not turn the disc over in valuable situations, and he's just busting out the animal celebrations. At the college championships, we saw him parading around like a gorilla after he reeled in some deep shots, and on that one, he's bringing out the Ducks.
Gordon Bombay would be proud. 40 seconds left. The Summit, a 2-goal loss in Madison on Friday. And now, and a drop pull for Connor Olson. Wah.
Look, if you're Colorado, you have to be proud of the heart and the effort that you displayed tonight. And if you really want, take solace in the fact that you're missing a starting 7 of all-stars, as
he was out of bounds.
That throw goes out the back. I mean, Nethercutt and Feiner on Team USA duty. Agee, Tabor, Tatum, unavailable. Could Buckholz perchance get healthy before the end of the season?
Landisman too. But it has been a frustrating stretch for the Summit, no doubt. Olsen dropped the pull at the start of the point, and he's still going to get the assist right as time expires. Final score, Minnesota 20, Colorado 17, but a tremendous turnaround for the Wind Chill. 1 year after losing by 10 in the Rocky Mountains, they take down the Summit in the Minnesota Mist. Minnesota cements its spot in first place in the Central with a 3-goal win over the team from out west. We'll chat with a member of the Wind Chill coming right back after this.
Premium Trail Mix. Power Up is a snack that is uncomplicated and uncompromising. Every ingredient is thoughtfully sourced and carefully crafted for a mix that elevates your snacking experience. There's no better way to power up your day.
To me, ultimate is confidence.
Confidence that my focus, my hard work will pay off. I push. So when I step out on that field
and look at the 7 across from me,
I know
that they aren't ready.
The Minnesota Wind Chill victorious tonight over the Colorado Summit. 20-17 is the final. And we are joined by veteran Wind Chill handler Josh Klain. Josh, your team now 5-1 atop the Central Division. Congratulations on this win over a team that beat you by 10 last year. What was the story of tonight in your mind?
The story tonight was, we had that in the back of our mind last year. Obviously, we're a different team this year. They're a different team right now. They're missing some key guys, but we knew what we had to do. We know what we have to do to become a championship team, and this was just a block, a building block, and we knew they were tired last night, and we wanted to give it our all, see if our legs could do the trick, and definitely did.
Two Klains, congratulations on the win, buddy. I know that you've been a part of this franchise for so long. You've seen this team come so close to major victories. Where does tonight's performance stack for you, both personally and for being a part of this franchise?
I mean, this was a statement. This was a statement, not only getting revenge on them from last year, but knowing that, our rival Madison took care of them last night, and, we definitely wanted to do the same thing and show that we are a top team looking and vying to win a championship. So this is definitely up there for sure.
Ben Feldman talked about how you guys maybe weren't quite ready for the forced middle defense. You felt ready for it tonight. How did the preseason prep and just getting ready for this game enable you to have success against their defense?
We obviously we have great game plans. Our coaches, Max and Ben, put together great game plans. I think we just played some really good Frisbee tonight, and I don't think our O-line was thinking too much. We were just playing hard, hitting the open throws, doing what we do best, and not overthinking anything, and it just came together, and, O-line felt really, really good. We obviously want a few points back, a few turnovers back, but, I think we played really well, one of our best offensive games this year.
With all of your experience, Josh, do you know what it takes to get yourself to that place where, I don't know if I want to go so far as to call it flow state, but you're just going out there and executing and not second-guessing something before you pull the trigger?
Yeah, I don't think there's a formula to get there. I think it just kind of happens when everyone's clicking together, no one person. You really definitely have to have a group of guys that are coming together. And I think also, I can't state enough, how big of an impact Matt Rader has on our team. He more than anyone else on our team has had championship experience, and he brings this level, keeps our mindset where it needs to be throughout the games, throughout the season. So I think his not only on-field but off-field impact really showed today.
Is it just his presence as a leader, Josh, or has he become a vocal leader in just half a season with this team?
Oh, he was the season that got shut down, he was a vocal leader within 2 practices that he was here. He's a vocal guy, whether you like it or not. He's going to tell the truth, and he's gonna tell you when you messed up in a positive way. But he has a high standard, as do many of us. But he definitely brings a different level that we haven't been around yet, and at least a lot of us haven't been around. And so I think he's really bringing us up.
All right, 5-1 at the midway mark. Best of luck going forward. Looking forward to being back here in Minnesota for the New York game next month. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
That's Josh Klain. Strong game for him and his team tonight at Seafoam Stadium. The Summit never quite went away, Ian, but they also never quite got back in it. Minnesota, that buzzer beater at the end of the third was massive, and they made big plays all night long.
The struggle for consistency, cohesion, and identity continues for this group. The effort, the heart was there. The execution and the comfort was not. The saga continues for this Summit team that could very well have eliminated itself from playoff contention with this loss tonight.
And that's on one extreme. The other extreme is Minnesota, perhaps announcing themselves that the Pittsburgh game, yes, it was a clunker, but they're 5-1. Their only loss was by 1 goal. They'll get a shot against the reigning champs later on this season. And after a disappointing conclusion last year, Minnesota with ambitions to be in the final game this August out in Salt Lake City. We'll see whether they can do it. We thank you for joining us for our Super Series showdown tonight. Final score, Minnesota 20, Colorado 17. Subscribe to watch UFA.tv. For Ian and our entire crew, Evan Lepler, good night from Minnesota.